When we talk about any solar module, one of the key component in this is the solar glass. And in India, there are very few players who are making solar glass for solar modules. Right now, we are joined by Mr. Ashok Jain ji, who is from Borosil Renewable. Borosil Renewables is one of the few solar glass manufacturers from the country. So, thanks Ashok ji for joining in this conversation.
Thank you so much, Manish. Pleasure to meet you.
First question. Last time we met Renewable, Borosil Renewable, and the major demand that you people were talking about was the imposition of customs duty against the import of Chinese solar glasses. So this has been fulfilled in the latest budget. So do you expect Achhe Din, good days for Borosil Renewable in the coming days?
Yeah, so this was a very long-awaited move from the government to impose basic custom duty. Actually, the duty was there on the glass, but it was exempted for last 25 years. So government has finally taken a call to reintroduce the duty. This will give some relief to the to glass manufacturers in India. But what has been happening is that there has been a lot of supply-related issues in China, demand-supply related, and which is why the solar glass prices and all component prices in China has been going down. So though the duty will get introduced from 1st of or has been introduced from 1st of October, the Chinese have already reduced the prices. So ultimately the benefit will not accrue to the glass manufacturers in the current situation. What additionally solar glass manufacturers are looking at is to reintroduction of anti-dumping duty, which was earlier continued from 2017 to 2022. And after August 22, the glass manufacturers are suffering because there is no anti-dumping duty, and the glass imports are increasing every day, which is putting pressure on the selling prices of local producers. And we have moved, as a domestic industry, we have moved an application to the government to reintroduce anti-dumping duty against China and also Vietnam. We are expecting a positive outcome in the whole process, maybe by end of this quarter. And post that, I think you may call Achhe Din वापस आएंगे.
So what you are suggesting that even after the imposition of customs duty against Chinese imports of solar glass, the Chinese players have already reduced their prices so low that even after the imposition of BCD customs duty, the prices will be much lower than the what Indian producers like Borosil is offering. So that is going to be a tough competition for you.
Absolutely right. So we actually have a certain cost which we must cover in order to stay in the business and expand. And since Chinese or Malaysian or Vietnamese producers are having subsidization because of various policies and programs run by those governments, obviously the cost at which they are able to sell or the price at which they are able to sell is low. And if we were to match those prices, then we stay negative. So we definitely need these measures from the government. Other thing is that solar module have got LMM, and now solar cell are also being put into LMM. They also have a DCR. But unfortunately for components like solar glass, which is one of the key components, there is no domestic content requirement. So the module guys are free to import even when there is a duty. So there is no domestic content promotion right now in the field of ancillaries, which is another thing which we are looking from the government to introduce in some form.
So you want more protection at par like whatever the solar module makers in India are enjoying. So you want similar kind of protective measures from the government so that the Indian, there are around 4 or 5 players in India who are making solar glass. So this industry wants more protection from the government so that they can compete with the cheap solar glass products from the Chinese players.
So actually we have to really go into details of the capital cost required by each of the components. So for solar glass, the cost for 1 gigawatt of solar glass manufacturing plant is 250 crores. If you were to set up 1 gigawatt plant for module, it is less than 100 crores. And the turnover which you generate from solar glass capex is less than 0.75. Whereas from module you get 6 times. So what kind of returns you have to look for in order to justify investment into solar glass manufacturing? And it's moreover a continuous process plant. You can't reduce production, you can do nothing about it. You have to continuously sell. So unless you have a right pricing and right amount of return on capital, it's difficult to allocate capital to this industry. And this industry, which is a very highly capital intensive, must be given certain support from the government in order to attract more capital. There are enough and more people willing to invest money into solar glass manufacturing if there is a right amount of policies, right kind of practices are followed by the government, like DCR thing or say anti-dumping duty and all.
So last time we were talking to Kheruka ji, and he said that about the expansion plans, ki until the government takes any decision on the imposing customs duty, we are not planning to expand anything. So what is the current stand? Are you planning to expand capacities, introduction of any new products?
So obviously everybody us is also willing to expand, but they are waiting for right policies to come into play. As I mentioned, the BCD itself is not sufficient for us to allocate capital. So whenever the decision on anti-dumping duty will be taken by the relevant authorities, that will be a trigger when the existing players or any new player potentially would start taking interest into expanding the capacity going forward. So we have plans to expand from current level to double it from 6.5 gigawatt to 13 gigawatt. But decision will be only taken after the anti-dumping duty is imposed.
So currently your Indian capacity is around 6.5 gigawatt and globally it is around 8.5 gigawatt. So what is your export, how your export market is happening, how it is responding, how your demand is in some other countries beyond India?
Sure. So I'll just like to clarify that 6.5 gigawatt is our own capacity, but the country has 17 gigawatt capacity as a whole. Just to clarify what capacity exists in India. On the borosil's front, we are exporting close to 20% of our product to majorly Europe, Turkey and America. And of late there has been challenges in the European and Turkish market as well, because the Malaysian and Vietnam glass is also being flooded there at low prices, which is putting a pressure. Moreover, their own economies, their own programs are not running that well. So the activity is rather slow over there. So our export content right now has gone down to less than 10%. But the activity in India, I am happy to note that activity in India is very high. The level of excitement amongst our customers is mind-blowing. I think the country will probably see 150 gigawatt capacity in the next 2-3 years from 75 gigawatt currently. So we have huge opportunity in India to sell any component like glass. And once the right policies are announced in terms of anti-dumping duty and all, it will be exciting for us to put in more money to add capacity.
Last question is how your Germany plant is operating, how much profits you're getting from that, how it is exactly performing?
So as I just mentioned, the European and Turkish and other markets are rather slow at this point in time. And because there is no protection to module manufacturers in Europe, because there is no basic custom duty, there is no anti-dumping duty, there is no incentive. Most of our large customers have actually folded over there, which has put pressure on our German plant to run the capacity at full capacity. We have been trying to sell our balanced production in Turkish and US markets and trying to use the full capacity as of now. There are no profits as such because the capacity is underutilized to some extent, and the prices in Turkish and American markets are rather low compared to the European market. So we are observing the position keenly in Europe, and a lot of action has been taken by the European governments, but in terms of the policies. But on ground, the things are still to be visible in order to actually get the demand.
Thanks a lot, Ashok ji, for talking to Saur Energy Magazine.